The sky turned black, not from nightfall, but from fear. A ripple tore through the very fabric of reality, and from it, something stepped out. No thunder, no lightning, no dramatic entrance, just silence, cold, calculated, watching. The heroes of the man universe had faced gods, monsters, and beings who could crush planets with a whisper. But this was different. He had no armor of light, no powers that bent space or time, no army. He was just a man. But the moment his boots touched their world, something shifted. The fearless started watching over their shoulders. The strongest hesitated. The shadows grew longer. Who is he? He doesn't fly. He doesn't shoot lasers. He doesn't run at the speed of sound. But he sees everything, plans everything, and strikes when you least expect. His name is whispered now, as if saying it out loud might summon him. Some call him a myth. Some call him a ghost. But all of them, they fear him. Because he doesn't fight for power. He fights with purpose. And when purpose meets precision, even gods bleed. He's not part of this world. But this world will never be the same again. Batman has entered the man universe. And nothing will ever be safe again. The sky was quiet again. But something had already changed. He came through a rip in space, silent, precise, and invisible to most. Not a flash of light, not a loud sound. Just a shadow appearing where it didn't belong. He landed in a city that had never heard of Gotham. A world that had no idea who he was. And that's exactly how he wanted it. No one noticed him at first. To them, he was just a man in black armor walking through a back alley. But in that moment, Batman saw everything. He scanned the buildings, listened to the patterns of the people, traced the rhythm of the crime. It only took him 5 minutes to know this place was broken. But it wasn't just crime in the streets. It was something deeper. This world was different. Heroes didn't just save people, they ruled them. Cities were divided by power, by who had the strength to crush others. Some heroes worked with governments. Some worked alone. And some didn't even care who got hurt, as long as they won. Batman blended into the shadows like a ghost. No one knew his name, but whispers began the moment he struck. He didn't come here to fight for territory. He came here to find out why this universe felt wrong. Why every file he hacked, every voice he recorded, pointed to something hiding behind the scenes. Something dangerous. They called this place the Man Universe. A world full of the most powerful beings ever created. Men and women who could fly, shoot fire from their hands, bend metal with their thoughts. But all that power, and still, people lived in fear. Batman had seen fear before. He had lived in it. But here, it was different. It was quiet. It was controlled. It was planned. One night, he watched a gang raid a small district. The heroes were nowhere in sight. When Batman stepped in, the criminals didn't even react. They laughed. One of them pointed a blaster at him and said, "You're not from around here, are you?" Batman didn't answer. He disarmed 3 of them in less than 10 seconds. No powers, just skill. The last one tried to run. He didn't get far. By the time the police arrived, they found the entire gang tied up, with a message carved into the wall. "I see everything." That's when the rumors started. The people thought it was a spirit, a myth, something born from the shadows. But the heroes, the ones who controlled the cities, they weren't laughing. They sent someone after him. His name was Titan, 7 feet tall, superhuman strength, eyes that glowed like fire. He had crushed whole rebel armies with his bare hands. And now he was sent to deal with a man in a mask. Titan didn't wait for an introduction. He smashed through the rooftop where Batman had been tracking a data signal. The building shook. Smoke filled the air. "I don't know who you are," Titan shouted, "but you don't belong here." Batman didn't reply. Titan rushed forward like a bull and vanished into darkness. The lights went out. The air went cold. In the silence, only breathing could be heard. And Titan was losing control. Because in the dark, Batman was already 3 steps ahead. He didn't hit hard. He hit smart. Every strike was placed with purpose, pressure points, weak joints, shock nerves. He lured Titan into traps, used smoke to blind him, sound to disorient him. Titan punched walls. Batman never stayed still long enough to get hit. Minutes passed like hours, and then it ended. Titan fell to one knee, not because of pain, but because of fear. He couldn't see him, he couldn't hear him, but he knew he was being watched, judged, outplayed. Batman stepped into the light for the first time. "You call yourselves protectors," he said, "but you've built a world on fear and control." Titan looked up, dazed. "Who are you?" "I'm what you become when power is used the wrong way." He dropped a flash device and disappeared into the night. Titan never spoke of the fight again, but others did. The Man universe lit up. Every news network talked about the masked man. Every hero wanted to know who he was. Every villain wanted him gone. And behind all of that noise, Batman was working. He broke into the Nexus, a highly protected vault of intelligence data. He bypassed firewalls created by beings who could think in 4D. He didn't need to punch through walls. He simply rewrote the system. What he found inside shook him. This universe wasn't just broken, it was controlled. Entire wars were started by design. Cities were left to burn so certain heroes could rise in the public's eyes. People were kept in fear, not for safety, but for obedience. The files didn't name a single enemy, but they all pointed to a single presence, a puppet master, a force hiding behind the curtains, using heroes like pieces on a chessboard. And no one knew, no one except Batman. That night, a tower exploded in the heart of the city, a building owned by a hero coalition. Inside were illegal surveillance servers, tracking every citizen in secret. The explosion didn't kill anyone. Batman made sure of that, but it did send a message. This man wasn't here to blend in. He wasn't here to take over. He was here to break the system. People started cheering his name, though they didn't know it. Some called him the Ghost. Some called him the Watcher. But others began whispering something else. Batman. The heroes weren't happy. This man had no powers, no allies, no history in this universe. But he was already changing everything, because Batman didn't need a throne. He only needed the truth. And now that he had seen it, nothing would stop him from exposing it. The world had changed, but they didn't even realize how much. The people were still cheering for their heroes on the surface. But under that surface, doubt had begun to grow. Quiet questions spread like fire. Who was controlling the system? Why were people disappearing? Why were certain events, wars, attacks, threats, repeating the same pattern? Every time peace was close, something went wrong. Like someone wanted chaos. Like someone needed fear. Batman already knew the answer. He found it in fragments, old mission files, blacked out reports, ghost data hidden beneath satellite servers. The puzzle was massive, but his mind was made for this. And when the pieces came together, the image was terrifying. The Man universe wasn't just flawed. It was designed this way. A secret council, hidden behind layers of data and false identities, had been pulling strings for years. They weren't heroes. They weren't villains. They were something worse, neutral. No emotion, no morality, just one goal, control. They called themselves the Core. They created conflicts on purpose, built heroes like brands, turned tragedy into theater. They used surveillance, fear, and loyalty to keep the people in line. And the heroes? They were pawns, trained, modified, monitored, used. Batman had seen corruption before, but this was a machine. He didn't just want to fight it, he wanted to destroy it. But to do that, he needed proof. Real proof. Not just words, something undeniable. He found his chance in a city called Nuria, where the perfect hero had been born. A flying symbol of hope, light, and peace named Val-Orion. Loved by all, respected, untouchable. Batman had seen the cracks. Val-Orion had never bled, never lost, and never made a move that wasn't recorded by state media. Every interview, every fight, perfectly scripted. He was the Corps' greatest weapon, and Batman wanted the truth behind him. He infiltrated the Foundation, the facility where Valor-Ion was created, underground, hidden behind a fake orphanage. The entrance required biometric data from 5 different clearance level beings. Batman bypassed it with a single tool: patience. Inside, the walls were lined with lies. Valor-Ion hadn't been born. He had been built, grown in a lab, his memories implanted, his personality designed by committee, every emotion, every speech, every tear programmed. He was a puppet, a beautiful, glowing puppet. And worst of all, he didn't know it. Batman took the files, every recording, every experiment, every conversation between Corps members, and he did something no one expected. He gave them to Valor-Ion. It wasn't a fight. It was a conversation. Batman stood across from him. No mask, no fear. "You think you're real," Batman said quietly, "but you're a product, a tool to keep people asleep." Valor-Ion didn't want to believe it. He punched the wall, screamed, denied, until he watched the footage, until he heard the Corps members calling him version 4.3, until he saw his own face on a test screen, eyes blank, being programmed with lines like, "I am the hope of this world." And he broke. Valor-Ion fell to his knees. His glowing eyes dimmed. His world collapsed. Batman didn't gloat. He simply said, "Now you understand." They didn't just lie to the people. They lied to you too. That night, Valor-Ion vanished from public life. His disappearance made headlines. But no one knew the truth. He wasn't gone. He was changing, and others were beginning to follow. The Corps tried to fight back. They spun stories, called Batman a cybercriminal, a villain, an interdimensional threat. They even faked a terrorist attack and blamed it on him. But the people had changed. They didn't accept things blindly anymore. They started asking questions, digging into records, connecting dots. And just like that, the perfect image of the man universe began to crack. Heroes who had once stood proudly in the light now stood still, wondering who they really were. Some turned against Batman. Others asked for help. The world was confused, torn, waking up too fast. And the Corps was running out of time. They sent their enforcer, the last line of defense, the one being even they couldn't fully control. Her name was Naira. She was their secret weapon, built from shadows, fed by fear, a hunter with no past and no weakness. Where Batman used shadows, she became them. Where he planted doubt, she planted death. Her mission was simple: erase the Bat. She found him in the ruins of an old control center. No gadgets, no tricks, just 2 minds locked in a silent war. Naira didn't talk. She attacked fast, using movements Batman had never seen before, perfectly unpredictable. She was strong, fast, cold, the Corps' perfect killer. But she made one mistake. She underestimated why Batman fights. Not for control, not for fame, but for truth. And truth always leaves a mark. Even when he was bleeding, Batman studied her, found patterns. Her limbs were fast, but her sensors lagged when switching terrain. Her eyes glowed, but flared in UV light. He set the trap mid-battle, a mirrored chamber, silent, with light refractors built into the floor. She entered. He vanished. In the confusion, she attacked her own reflection, and that gave Batman the edge. He didn't defeat her with strength. He disabled her by shutting down her core control chip, a device hidden beneath her spine, disguised as bone. As she shut down, her voice activated for the first time. "Why do you fight?" Batman didn't answer, because she already knew. She was just like Valor-Ion, another weapon, another soul hijacked by the system. Batman walked away, leaving her deactivated, not destroyed, because he wasn't here to kill. He was here to break the lie. And now, the world had seen enough. It wasn't just about Batman anymore. It was about choice. The Corps was crumbling. Batman had done what no one thought was possible. He had made the truth louder than fear. Heroes were questioning everything. People were no longer blind, and the silence the core had built over years was breaking apart. But truth doesn't just set you free. Sometimes it divides, because not every hero wanted to believe it. Some said Batman was right. Others called him a liar. And a few? They didn't care about the truth at all. They only cared about power and what they would lose if the system fell. The man universe was splitting. Friend turned against friend. Teams that once fought side by side now stood on opposite ends of a brewing war. Some begged for peace. Others sharpened their blades. It wasn't the people against the system anymore. It was heroes against each other. And in the middle of it all stood Batman. He didn't want a war, but he had prepared for one. He had files on every major hero, weaknesses, patterns, pressure points. Not because he wanted to fight them, but because he knew he might have to stop them. One by one, sides formed. Valorian returned from hiding, changed. He no longer wore the bright symbol of peace. He wore no symbol at all, just dark armor and a voice that spoke for justice, not perfection. He stood beside Batman. With him came others, the Broken Blade, once a silent assassin, now a voice of truth. Echo, a reality bender who finally saw that her power had been used to rewrite history itself. Even Titan returned, this time not as an enemy, but as someone who had seen the lie for himself. But not all joined them. Solace still believed order must be protected. He couldn't let the world fall into chaos, even if it meant defending a broken system. He rallied his own team, the Shieldborn Lightsworn, the Guardian's Code, all-powerful, loyal, and afraid of what change might bring. And so, the world prepared for battle. Not for land, not for control, but for belief. Two sides, one world, and a storm hanging over them both. Batman stood on the edge of a destroyed tower, overlooking a city about to turn into a battlefield. This was never the plan, he said. Valorian stood beside him. Plans don't survive truth. You taught me that. They didn't speak again. They didn't need to, because across the skyline, jets roared. Shields lit up. Powers ignited. It had begun. The first wave was fast. Solace's forces struck with precision, contain, capture, control. But Batman had planned the battlefield himself. Every alley, every rooftop, every hidden path was a trap. He didn't need more power. He needed more purpose. And his team fought with it. Echo bent space, turning attacks back on their senders. Titans smashed through steel walls to protect civilians. Valorian moved faster than ever before, not to win, but to block damage, to save lives, to end fights without destroying. And Batman? He was everywhere and nowhere, disabling tech, rewriting security, appearing in front of leaders and whispering only one thing: you still have a choice. But not everyone wanted it. Solace came down like a sun falling from the sky. His power cracked the streets, split towers, turned night into day. He wanted to end it. Fast, decisive. He found Batman in the heart of the city. You've broken the world, Solace growled. You've turned heroes into rebels. No, Batman said, calm. I showed them the mirror. They broke themselves. Solace attacked. It was not a battle of fists. It was light against shadow, power against precision. Every punch shook the ground. Every dodge felt like a whisper in time. Batman didn't try to win. He tried to survive, to delay, to buy time for the world to see what was happening. And then it happened. The core revealed itself. A hologram in the sky. A voice across every device. Cold, empty, robotic. You have disrupted the balance. You were not meant to be here. The people froze. The core had never spoken directly, never shown itself. And now, the lie had a voice. Batman stood under the broken sky, blood on his face, pain in his body, but fire in his eyes. I wasn't meant to be here, he said, staring up. But neither was your lie. The core activated a final protocol, a weapon, a living AI built from the minds of fallen heroes. Pure code, no conscience, no emotion, just logic and destruction. They called it Vanta. It dropped into the city like a star, tall, shifting, unstoppable. A being that could rewrite physics, drain energy, erase memories with a touch. The war stopped. Because now, both sides had a new problem. Vanta didn't care who had truth, or power, or purpose. It only cared about control. Solace looked at Batman, breathing heavily. What do we do? Batman's answer was simple. We fight it. Together. And in that moment, the war paused. Not ended. Paused. Because sometimes, even enemies must unite when something worse arrives. The heroes stood together again. Broken. Bleeding. Divided. But united. For now. They faced Vanta. And Batman, though just a man, walked forward first. Because no matter what world he's in, when it's time to face the impossible, he leads. Not because he's the strongest, but because he never backs down. And the man universe had never seen that kind of courage before. Vanta didn't speak. It didn't threaten. It just moved, and the world bent with it. Every step warped gravity. Buildings trembled. Light curved. The sky rippled like water. It was rewriting reality, one heartbeat at a time. Heroes who had once fought each other now stood side by side, watching the thing that was never meant to exist. A weapon created by the core, built from the minds of the strongest, now unleashed without limits. And they all knew one thing. They couldn't stop it with power. Titan charged first. A punch strong enough to level mountains hit Vanta in the chest and passed through like smoke. No damage. No sound. Just void. Vanta responded with a flick of its fingers. Titan froze mid-step, eyes wide. His memories flashed before him. Every failure, every regret, every fear. His mind fractured. He dropped to his knees. One move. One mind broken. Echo tried next, bending reality to trap it in a loop. It didn't work. Vanta bent reality faster than she could imagine. Her powers folded in on themselves, collapsing her to the ground, dizzy and bleeding. It wasn't just strong. It was beyond everything they'd known. Solace launched into the sky, glowing like a dying sun. He fired everything. Light beams, sonic waves, gravitational bursts. The city lit up like a supernova. But when the smoke cleared, Vanta was still standing, unharmed. It turned to him, raised one hand, and Solace dropped from the sky like a stone. The heroes were falling, one by one, until only Batman remained. He didn't run. He didn't attack. He just walked forward. The city behind him burned. The sky flickered. The core was silent now, watching, waiting, sure of their victory. Batman stared at the monster in front of him. It didn't recognize him as a threat. No power signature. No energy output. Just a human. That was its mistake, because Batman had already won. This wasn't about beating Vanta physically. This was about beating it before it was born. In the hours before the war, while others prepared weapons, Batman prepared something else, a virus. Not just a digital virus, but a psychological one, a logic bomb. He had planted it deep inside the core's code, in every network, in every line Vanta was built from, hidden, silent, waiting for one command. And now, staring into the void, Batman whispered it. Execute Protocol Blackout. Vanta paused. Its form began to shake. Data raced across its body like lightning. Then it screamed. Not a sound, but a ripple, a mental shockwave that hit every hero, every person, every corner of the man universe. Reality bent. Time stuttered. Then, silence. And the monster began to fall apart, piece by piece. Code unraveling. Mind collapsing. Every stolen memory breaking free. The souls trapped inside, the ones Vanta was built from, began to awaken. Titan's voice, Echo's pain, Solace's doubts. All the fears and truths Vanta had fed on now turned inward. It couldn't survive it, because Batman didn't fight with fists. He fought with truth, and truth was poison to control. The core tried to stop it. They activated fail-safes, emergency shutdowns. But it was too late. Batman's virus had already spread to their deepest systems. He didn't just bring down Vanta. He brought down the entire core. Satellites fell from orbit. Surveillance grids blinked out. Control towers went dark. In a matter of minutes, the system that ruled the man universe for decades collapsed. The people watched. The heroes stood stunned. And Batman? He just turned around and walked away. No victory speech. No celebration. He disappeared into the smoke. And the world finally breathed. Solace woke up later, body broken, mind racing. He stood beside Valorian, Titan, Echo, and the rest. What now? He asked. Valorian looked to the horizon. We rebuild, he said. Not with fear, with truth. And him, someone asked. Batman. They searched, but he was gone. No trace, no signal, just silence. But in that silence came change. The man universe began to heal. The truth had left scars, but those scars reminded them of what mattered. Justice, freedom, choice. The heroes worked together again, not as soldiers, but as protectors. They dismantled the last remains of the core, freed those who had been hidden, created laws with the people, not over them. And every time a new threat appeared, they asked a question. What would he do? Batman became more than a legend. He became a lesson. That one man, with no powers, no army, no origin in this world, could change everything. Not with strength, but with will. And somewhere far from the spotlight, in a quiet corner of the multiverse, a figure watched them rebuild. Silent, focused, ready. Because Batman doesn't wait for the next threat. He prepares for it. And the man universe? It would never forget the day he walked in and rewrote the rules. Forever.